Yeah, we're gonna play with the front end a little bit today. The wind comes whistling through here. It's about 10 degrees or less with the wind chill. So we're going to do a brake inspection. And this is a 1940 independent for suspension. No shocks, they use a damper. It's also part of the upper A-frame. Lower control arm. It's got a pivot style steering, which is unique. Okay. The idea is not to lose a bunch of tools. Now, I've been in here before. I just want to get a picture of it. And if I remember, these drums were turned. Somebody was working on this car. The drums were turned. There's a brand new clutch in it. And throwout bearing. They'd left the shield off so I could look up in there and see it. And I was also making sure before I started it, we didn't have a big old rat's nest in there to clog everything up. Come on. There we go. Come with daddy. Come with daddy. Kind of a weird bearing setup. I've never seen a bearing like this. This grease is older than all hell, I should say. Now, one of the things we got here, let me get my paper towel. Don't want to get too nasty because I'm going to take pictures with my camera. I don't want to take these gloves on and off. They keep my hands a little warm, but not much. If I had something right there to block the wind, I could work out here. Sorry about my throat and it's cold. It's just, I took these off, took them apart, removed the valves that control the fluid for the front damper shock, and put them back together. They're just, you can see I'm moving it. It's just an A-frame now, being held together by a drill bit. Question being is I'm changing the wheels out. So these are 1 inch. Lug bolts, I need 1.25 inches because I got to make up that 1/4 inch thickness of the aluminum on the adapters to go from this 5 on 4.5. If I run the GM wheels, they are 5 on 4.75. So there had to be an adapter bolted on here, probably anyway because of the size of this hub. Let's see what we got here. These drums were actually turned. They're just rusty, nasty because they've been out here, out of the barn in my driveway getting moisture on them. So I can clean them up. That's a new seal. I'll tell you that right now. They've replaced this bearing seal. You see where the lugs are coming in? Because this is riveted to the drum. Okay. very basic old style Ford or GM. These are a little bit thinner back here. The adjusters are frozen a little bit. They'll have to be taken apart and cleaned. You got to get this wheel cylinder off. So what we'll do is I'll get some brake clean sprayed on there, see what color the springs are. Then I'll take a picture of it. So later when I tear it apart, I'll have a picture exactly how to put it back together, because I'll have to open this part of it up at least to get these off. And then we're going to rebuild these on camera. That's the wheel cylinder, okay? But quite impressive. Yep, it has to be replaced. It's down to the rivets. It's not what I wanted to see, but it is what it is. So let's get this picture, and then we'll move forward. I got my bushings in today from Barnes 4-wheel drive. Well, I'm telling you. Oh, now they're putting a thing on here to report illegal aliens at all locations with a phone number. Ohio's going to be right in the middle of that Minneapolis stuff where it's over. I feel sorry for the officers that I know that are going to be between the stupidity we have for a city mayor and governor and the federal officers who are putting their lives on the line to take out the people who are not supposed to be in this country, regardless of what everybody thinks. So I really don't care. Let's get a picture. Sorry about that. I'm just getting all clogged up being this. Yeah, we actually got a picture. Let me get some brake cleaner and we'll definitely get a better view of this. I've been putting stuff where it belongs and cleaning up. I forgot where I put it. And I looked where it was supposed to be and cotton picking, there it is. Let's see what we got here. Okay. The green spring goes to the front. That's what I needed to find out. We'll get an updated phone picture. Let's see what we got. Got a good picture. Shows the color of the green spring to the front. That's all I wanted. Close this up to protect my camera. Put it back in my pocket so I don't drop it on the ground. I got a drip pan I got to bring out here with some oil dry in it. I don't want this stuff destroying the blacktop driveway. I'm going to take some work here. I'm going to take the outer tie rod loose and get it cleaned. The arm, and I'll unbolt it. I'm taking this plate off to clean it. Okay. Yeah, it's so gummed up in there. I ain't gonna sit there and try to pick it and do that. Then I can clean this arm, the control arm properly, and the control arm lower bracket, because I got the springs cut, dropping it down. That way I can set it to the height I want it and work from there. We'll get all this cleaned off, scraped off, in primer, in paint, get it ready to be re-lubed. A lot of these joints probably haven't seen a grease gun forever. And lucky for me, out at my son's, I keep it out there due to the fact that I got a power grease gun. Just stick it on, hold it, pull the trigger, and it, because that Mack truck had like 60 grease fittings on it, the old one that I restored. I shot 2.5 tubes of grease in the fittings on that truck when it was done. We have the rivets to the surface here, and they're almost rubbing. You could drive it, but I wouldn't drive it for very, very long, because the front gets most of the braking power. If you knew what these brake shoes cost, you'd have a fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up buying the rivet machine, the stamping piece, and buy the material, drill these out. I'll have to clean them because you see I'm being careful. I'm not really stirring up a bunch of dust and stuff. Reason being, these are old asbestos brakes, and that is not good to inhale. It's one of those PPE projects that you got to watch. Just like I see these guys on, they're in there cleaning it out and they're talking to you, and I'm wearing my mask because I want to talk to you, and they're stirring all this dust with the rodent urine and feces and all that dust in there that they're inhaling is actually lethal in some instances. So I was wearing a mask the whole time I was in here, and on a video on my other channel, someone was complaining about the mask I was using wasn't any good. Well, that mask was bought for one purpose. You spray some aftershave on it, you wait for it to dry, you put it on, and when you get in the car, it smells like an outhouse. You can't smell nothing but the aftershave. This car was so bad, it felt like I had to go out in the yard and lose my cookies, because all that thick padded material they use in a Packard absorbed that odor for years and years. Yeah. So I will lightly clean these up. It's a good seal right there. That bearing's greased really good. Okay. Got a good race in it. I'll re-grease these outers, and I'll put some grease on the inner so it'll slop around. Yep. It's a good boost bearing. I'll look up these. This has got a large diameter here, so I'm gonna have to find an adapter. It's got the large opening. I'll have to measure this and get an adapter to put on there. Even if I put the 5 on 4.5 on here, it's the same size it is, I'm still gonna have to put a spacer and adapter on there to get this past this hub. And the adapters I'm using, it's got little places between the studs that are rounded off, so these rivets can have a place to go. Right here, there's a piece sticking out like a finger to line up the wheel so you could put it on, because you're using bolts instead of lug nuts. I cut it off, and I still got to buff it down a little bit because I wanted to try to put a wheel on there, and I couldn't get it up over here, and I couldn't even get it up to the lug nut openings because of this guide to index the wheel. With the index on there, the wheel's going real easy. This is going to be a pain to put a wheel on when the time comes. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, yeah, we'll repack. We'll re-grease the inner. We may have try to pull that. I don't want to take a chance of damaging that. Let me take a look at it. I'll just put some grease in there, let it migrate. It's doing good. If I have to pop the seals, I'm going to have to put new ones in it, because it's got a metal lip and it's going to bend. Unless I can get lucky by tapping on this bearing with a punch from the other side to kind of knock it out of the... So I need to pack that bearing. I got all that high dollar grease in there. I'd be a fool not to pack the bearings. And this bearing here is almost dry. See that? Now what you're going to see coming up is the placement of these bushings, which came today. Came in 3 days. Holy cow, it must be past the Christmas rush. Because from the Thanksgiving to Christmas, all my stuff on average was showing up 12 to 14 days past the due date. Usually I wouldn't tell you to bang on those. These things got so much metal in them, you could probably wheel with the dead blow hammer to put them on. I'm going to take the dents out of them just because I can. Now, this will get a adjustable coilover. I'm going to radius this out. I'm going to make a bracket that literally bolts up here. I can drop the shock in from the bottom, bring it up, put a pin through the center of it. Same thing on the arm down here, the perch where the spring was going. I'm going to drill it and put it in there. It's too bad I can't take them off, take them in there and drill them and put them back on the car, because it's next to impossible. 86-year-old bolts that haven't been off aren't really pleasant to work on. Now the other thing you can do and I've seen it done, is to come off this hole down here with a coilover like this at an angle, bring it up here, and then you just make a bracket that goes on here and comes up and put it right there. That's the other option, and do away with the springs totally, which is what I intend to do. So we'll look at getting a rebuild kit. There's two sizes. There's a 15/16 and a 1 inch for a Packard 1940 110 model 1800. You gotta have all the numbers to get anything for this car. The hoses won't be a problem. I like to get that done, get this all cleaned and painted and put back together, and remove this brake line. They're no good. And clean this up and put a new brake line on it, ready to paint and everything, and then plug the lines so we can't get any insects or any debris in there. So that is how we're going. We're going to work on the front end first. We know we're going to have to put the brake shoes and stuff on it. We're going to rebuild the wheel cylinders. Wheel cylinders on this car is about $34 to $48, depending on where you can find them, and if you can find them that cheap. Just because it's got the Packard name on it, they want 10 prices for it. So, don't care. O'Reilly's, I was online looking. They have the kits for $5.64 to rebuild them, and I happen to have everything I need to rebuild it from years ago. Something that didn't get stolen when I had it in storage. That'd be a good place to do it. I'd run that shock right off of that, right up here. Let's just do it. Okay, it'd be. And actually, the shock would actually extend up higher. Coil over. And then I can adjust the coil over because it's 12 inches from here to the ground. Right now it's all jacked up out of shape. I'm dropping the front. Now the Packard front end, believe it or not, is very easy to drive without power steering. One, because of the size of the steering wheel. Captain, you're driving a barge. And two, it's got a center bar, is what I'll call it. There's a length from the front that comes back. Then from there, there's an arm that goes over to the arm that comes off the back of the gearbox. Okay? And then there's this arm, and the other arm attaches in the center of that rod. So you're using extra leverage to turn the car. So when you turn the wheel this way, it kicks that rod this way, pulls that wheel and pushes this wheel out to make the turn. It gives you the, instead of going directly to the wheel, you have the man panel, it goes to a lever to give you more torque. It's kind of interesting. It really is. I got stuff to make multiple changes in this car. I got a Ford Focus steering wheel. I've already taken out all the airbag and sensors and cruise controls and all that stuff out of it, and just left the turn signal and the ignition wiring in it, which we a double D shaft would go real good. I've got a power steering gearbox and pump laying over there. If I go with a rack and pinion, the rack will be sitting too low in the front. So I'm kind of stuck with this steering I want to get the bushings in it, okay? We got these bushings coming in. We're going to go through that here in just a few minutes. Let me get this stuff picked up, and we're going to get out of this wind, and we'll go. Getting it close, it's kind of hard to work when it's 10 degrees outside. My wife bought me this chair when I hurt my back 30 years ago, and I still use it. It is so comfortable to sit down and work. There's so much stuff I can do sitting in this chair. It's got a place to put a few tools. It extends my working time. So, that's the first look of the steering on the Packard. We're going to get these bushings in, then we're going to check the free play from side to side, because right now it's got like 1 inch on each side, but it could be because of this, allowing that arm to do some funky stuff. I'm not sure if that's it or not. Or I got something worn underneath that I got to find, which means I got to put the tires back on it after I get the bushings in it, and forget the coil springs, they're just hanging in there. Jack the front end up, put a jack stand under each of the, that way I can lay down at an angle with the bright light and have my grandson or the wife to come out and turn the wheels from side to side, so I can see how much it's moving before it moves the suspension and where that deflection is coming from. You got to remember, it's 86 years old, but it's a 43,000 mile car, so I'm not looking at anything to really be worn out. I'm looking for something that's out of adjustment, or something somebody tampered with because they thought they knew what they were doing. Because this car's got all kinds of red flags that stuff's been worked on. You just saw the wheel bearings with new seals in them. Why they didn't do the brake shoes, I don't know. And they used the old style grease, which that stuff gets hard after a while. So it's not much better than what they took out. So we're going to get the front end stable first and make some decisions on it, and then we'll get the front end back on the ground, and then we could make some adjustments in the back and set it back on the ground so we can get a view of the rake and how the car is going to sit. So when I start to build it and start cutting on it, it'll give me more of an open idea of what to do. She's not going to go in patina sauce, unfortunately, with this beautiful patina she's getting. It's the first time she's been out of the barn sitting in the weather, so now the rust is kicking in on all the metal, the paint. What we have found, and I'll give you a quickie on it, somebody stripped this car all the way down and repainted it. Some of it's got primer and some of it doesn't. I haven't found any body work yet. There's a little bit right here. I'm lost for ideas. We've already settled how we're going to do this. That's going to be simple. I know what we're going to do with the windows. I know how far we're going to shorten the body and how we're going to cut it to make it a two-door. It's going to be a coupe with a humpback. It's going to be a little shorter wheelbase than what it would have been, because the wheels will now be at the rear of the car versus where they are now. There'll be nothing hanging over the back. And when I get to the engine, it's quick. It's just going to be cleaned and painted. I'm going to double check a few things. I got to risk the carburetor. See if I can't do the carburetor. Be honest with you, I've never had any luck rebuilding carburetors. Back in the old days with these carburetors, when I was like 16, 17, 18 years old, I could take them apart, soak them in some stuff, come back the next day, clean them up, blow the parts off, lay them on a shop towel, and reassemble the carburetor and make a couple adjustments. The thing would work perfect. The last 2 carburetors I tried, I just went and got another carburetor. It was a waste of money to buy the kit because I couldn't get it to work properly. But since it's the old basic carburetor, I might have good luck again. If not, I can get a carburetor off of an old Ford 173 or 200, the engines they had in the original 60 and 61 and 64 Falcons. We'll bolt right on here. Only difference is the linkage, instead of being levered off the back, will be straight off the front, which I can adapt that. It'd be kind of nice just to put a cable pedal in there instead of having one with all these linkages. But it is what it is. With the cable, that's one less swivel joint you have to worry about breaking after age. Now, well, I'll take the stand off. Let's go see what we got here. The stuff showed up. It showed up early. We're going to be doing some weird stuff with this build. I'm going to be honest with you. 1, I turned the lights on. I did. 2, I got a clean towel. Got to put the dashboard up here out of the car. I'm not going to do it today. Take a couple guesstimates, and then the console and the downturn piece come up on the board here, because I'm going to be building the dashboard as he's starting to wire it. And then I got to get all the parts listed. That's what this is for. That I got to order. The radio antenna sticks on the dash. The rocker MG style, they're Lucas style rocker switches, and there's one for the 4-way, and see which ones he wants. I got 4 openings for those. I've got the gauges. I got to get out my caliper and measure the gauge I got in the car. It's just taped in there for oil pressure, so I can see it when I'm starting it up. And what the heck's going on here? Sorry, people. You just pull the tag when they tape the tag. Yeah, I'm telling you. I want to make sure I got what I ordered. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Come to daddy. This was a 3.5-hour search online. Let me check something right now. I looked everywhere. Now, this is a special product. It won't egg shape or elongate. It'll keep that front suspension true all times on rough roads and stuff. I had to buy this. I had to find this measurement, this measurement, this measurement for this sleeve, because it has to be. Trying to give you a heads up of what goes on behind the scenes before we really get into this build. Okay. Then I got these for 88 cents. If I went over to buy these lock nuts at the local big box store, they're $3.29 each. So, anywhere I can save a buck, I'm going to do it. And, come on. The only difference is I have to cut a 1/4 inch off of this. And a 1/4 inch off of this, so they end up being just like this, the way it's supposed to be, protruding on each side. And then there's one of these, and it fits right down in, when it's in that control arm, it fits right down in the fork on the dampener, and the bolt goes through and we're done. Took 3.5 hours of looking up. I'll show you the paperwork and all the research I did to get to these. These are for a 4-wheel drive. Like I say, a special rubber. It'll never egg shape or wall around. It's designed for off-road 4-wheel drive beating, so it's going to really stabilize that front end instead of that old mushy rubber bushings were 86 years old. They were probably not much better when they were put in back in the day. That's what they had to go with. They didn't have the compounds that we have today. And this, I'll lose a 1/4 inch off both these. Just slide them together. I'll put a white dot on here so I can line up this, and then this goes. Now this will get lubed with a silicone, stickier than crap stuff that will not deteriorate the rubber, but will allow me to easily compress them into the bore of the control arm. And then we'll put this in, okay, like that. The center bolt, I'll put never C's on here, so it'll always slide around in that bushing like it's supposed to. It'll allow the deflection, the movement. What happens is that this rusts and gets bound to the rubber, and then the metal sleeve gets bound to the bolt, so I don't even mess with them. I took a close gas, just like I did in the MG, cut the head of the bolt off, I cut the nut off, okay, and then I came over and cut on the inside. No, I cut on the inside of each of them, not on the outside, on the inside of each of them. Pulled the nut off, pulled the bush, and it's dropped down, so I had the nut and the end sticking out. I had this stuck on the thing. I just took a punch and knocked the two of them off, and then I cleaned out the bolt, which now it's rusty. I'll have to clean it again. So that's the setup right there. Now, I paid $8.62 a piece for these. 4 of these, no sleeve or anything else. It was $89 because it had the name Packard on it. So by the time you bought the sleeve, and they were $7 a piece, 6 and some change. And I had both of them had the new bolts since I cut them. Apples to apples, no taxes, no shipping. This was $18 and some change. If I went with the ones for Packard, they would have been $115 by the time I bought the 2 sleeves, oversized for the 5/8 and the bushings. The only difference is I got to get creative, and I got to cut a 1/4 inch off of here, which is going to be easy to do. Okay. I got a little hacksaw. I'll stick these in something to hold them. I'll put a piece of tape on here so I get a straight line, and I'll just cut around, and then I'll take a sharp razor blade knife and just cut them off. I only have to cut one of them on each side, and then we'll take these and measure the piece that we cut out, and then we'll shorten these by that exact amount so they still stick out like they're supposed to. So for $20, I save $95. You don't think that's that much? Well, put it just, no, it adds up. Wheel cylinders for this car is another going to be an issue. The ones I saw that were correct design, they're like $34 to $48 per wheel cylinder. $5.64 at O'Reilly's. I can buy the kit. I got to take them off and look at the cups inside to see whether they're 15/16 or 1 inch. It depends on what month the car was made in 1940, which size cups they got. They have to be exact because they're designed for the hydraulic pressure. So I'll get one, take it apart, and we'll just review both of those the same time and do the brake lines. Okay? Excuse me for the hacking here. That's it. That's a happy day right there. I mean, people say you have to start to use parts, and you got to do this, and you have to do that, and I don't have to do anything. I do what I want to do. That's the reason why I'm going away from the MG build that requires me to stay in one mindset and one avenue to get the project done, because now I'm back into using all MG parts because I'm using the MG steering column. So I got to use their ignition. I got to use their turn signal, their windshield wiper control. And it's Lucas. Anybody knows about Lucas? It's not the best in my book. What's all this? Maybe I ought to open this up too. Anyway, we're going to be working on these drums and stuff. I want to get the brake material. I'm looking for it. And for $30, I can buy the machine that'll stamp the rivets. I remember years ago, and they don't do it anymore, they had a little flat-headed bolt, a star washer, and a special nut, and you literally bolt them on. Well, that didn't last very long because people weren't doing it right, and they were causing issues. Oh, Barnes 4-wheel drive. I'll give them a thumbs up because these bushings are perfect. It's not what they thought I was doing with them, but for people building 4-wheel drive vehicles, rock crawlers and stuff, they got the stuff, and those are going to work perfect. And because the compound of the rubber, I'm going to put these up here.